The hotel room door swung open before Marcus Thompson could even process his mistake, and before he could stammer an apology, a hand shot out, grabbed his shirt collar, and yanked him inside with surprising force. Marcus stumbled forward, his worn duffel bag dropping to the floor as he found himself face to face with the most striking woman he had ever seen. She was tall, impeccably dressed in a tailored burgundy suit, with sharp eyes that held both panic and determination. Without warning, she pressed herself close to him, her fingers curling possessively around his arm as she turned to face an older couple standing near the window. Her voice rang out clear and steady, cutting through the tension like a knife through silk. "Mom, Dad, I'd like you to meet my fiancé." Marcus stood frozen, his exhausted mind struggling to catch up with what was happening. He had been on his feet for 16 hours straight, working a double shift at the construction site just to make rent this month, and all he wanted was to collapse on the bed in room 412 where his friend had said he could crash for the night. Except this wasn't 412. This was 421. And he had just walked into what appeared to be a family confrontation involving a woman who was now claiming him as her future husband. The older man, distinguished in an expensive gray suit, narrowed his eyes at Marcus, taking in his dust-covered work boots, his faded jeans, and the exhaustion etched into his 32-year-old face. The woman beside him, dripping in pearls and judgment, looked like she had just tasted something bitter. Marcus should have run. He should have apologized and backed out of the room immediately. But something in the way the woman's hand trembled against his arm, something in the desperate plea hidden behind her confident facade, made him stay. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected moments that change everything, please hit that like button. Drop a comment below and subscribe to this channel. You won't want to miss what happens next. The woman's name was Victoria Chen, and Marcus learned her story in hurried whispers while her parents temporarily retreated to make phone calls in the hallway. She was the CEO of a multi-million-dollar tech company, built from the ground up after her parents had cut her off financially when she chose business school over medical school. Now, 8 years later, they had shown up unannounced, demanding she return home for an arranged marriage to a man she had never loved, threatening to use their remaining shares in her company to force her hand. She needed to prove she was already committed to someone else, anyone else. And Marcus had walked through that door, like an answer to a prayer she hadn't known how to pray. He should have said no. He should have told her he had enough problems of his own without getting tangled in the complicated life of a woman who lived in a world so far removed from his own that they might as well have been on different planets. But then Victoria's mask cracked just slightly, and he saw the same exhaustion in her eyes that he felt in his bones, the same desperation of someone fighting to protect what mattered most while the world tried to take it all away. Marcus knew that feeling intimately. 3 years ago, his wife Sarah had died in a car accident, leaving him alone with their 2-year-old daughter Emma. The grief had nearly destroyed him, but Emma's laughter had pulled him back from the edge every single time. He worked 3 jobs to keep food on the table and a roof over their heads, missed parent-teacher meetings because he couldn't afford to take time off, and felt the weight of inadequacy pressing down on him every single day. He was tired of feeling powerless, tired of watching opportunities slip through his fingers because he didn't have the right connections or the right background. And maybe, just maybe, this bizarre situation could actually help them both. Victoria needed someone to stand beside her for a few weeks until her parents backed off. In return, she offered him something that made his breath catch, enough money to finally catch up on his bills, maybe even save a little for Emma's future. It wasn't charity, she insisted, it was a business arrangement, a mutual benefit between two people who understood what it meant to fight for survival. The next 3 weeks became a strange dance of pretense and unexpected truth. Marcus brought Emma to meet Victoria, and watching his daughter's face light up as the CEO knelt down in her designer heels to talk about dolls and dinosaurs at eye level made something shift in his chest. Victoria attended one of Emma's daycare events because Marcus had to work, and she sat in the back row with tears streaming down her face as his little girl sang off-key and waved enthusiastically at both of them. They shared late-night conversations about loss and pressure and the fear of never being enough. And somewhere between the fake engagement photos and the rehearsed stories they told Victoria's parents, the lines between pretend and real began to blur in ways neither of them had anticipated. If this story has touched your heart, if you believe in the beauty of unexpected connections, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. On the final night before Victoria's parents were scheduled to return to California, Marcus found her standing on the balcony of her penthouse apartment, looking out over the city lights with an expression of profound loneliness that he recognized all too well. He had planned to tell her that the arrangement had run its course, that they could stage a quiet breakup now that the immediate threat had passed. Instead, he found himself asking if maybe, just maybe, they could try making something real out of the lie they had been living. Victoria turned to him with tears in her eyes and said the words he had not dared to. Hope for. She had fallen in love with him somewhere between his terrible jokes and the way he loved his daughter with his whole heart, and she wanted to know if a woman who built empires from nothing could possibly build a life with a man who had taught her what truly mattered. Drop a comment below sharing your thoughts on this incredible story, and tell us what second chances mean to you. Marcus Thompson had walked into the wrong hotel room exhausted and defeated, but he walked out of Victoria Chen's life changed and hopeful, with a family he never expected, and a future that proved sometimes the wrong door leads to exactly the right place. Emma gained a mother who loved her fiercely. Victoria gained a partner who saw her for who she truly was beneath the CEO title. And Marcus finally understood that his worth had never been measured by his bank account, but by the size of his heart and his willingness to show up even when everything felt impossible. Their wedding was small and perfect, attended by Victoria's parents who had grudgingly come to respect the man their daughter had chosen. And as Marcus held his bride close while Emma danced circles around them, he whispered a thank you to Sarah for teaching him that love comes in many forms, and second chances are always worth taking.